Great good morning, everyone. It is 9:13 a.m. on a beautiful Thursday, August 28th, year of our Lord 2025. And you're right. It's on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and his great family of companies. Joseph Box Horvath, Hazelton, Robert Bob Kislin, Freeland, James Sudsy Fiume, Pittston, John Cunningham, Scranton, and Jerry Hyde, Peckville, along with Bernie Baffiel, Bloomsburg. We lost them this year, but celebrate them this day. Thanks to John, the United States of America, founded with the certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers that the government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. Yeah, our commitment to common sense will allow you to have a sanctuary of sanity in a mad world. And we will gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense to confirm that fact. Well, the Minnesota shootings, horrific. Absolutely horrific. I think everybody can imagine sending their children or grandchildren to school and having that kind of evil strike them. I mean, everybody felt that. And I apologize. Yesterday, they started their press conference early. It was scheduled for noon. They started it at, I don't know, like 11:58 and change as I was wrapping up the show. And we had no time, not only we had no time to introduce it, but then ran it live. Yeah. Oof. That's a gut punch for, I think, for so many Americans. And then you get to the inevitable, well, all right, how do we look at things? And I look at the bar at Star Wars representation that Minnesota has. That idiot mayor, Fry, Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar. I mean, wow. This is the leadership you want to take you through a tragedy? Because they're going to happen no matter who's in office. It's sad to say. The one thing I want to see, and those of you who watch left stream media, I'm forced to. But those of you who watch left stream media, I want to see if they really get in to the psychoses, to the sickness of the killer. And that it was related to his trans nature, his transsexual nature. He had apparently transitioned. Now, it's a mental illness. How long are we going to deny this? How long are we going to say it's normal? Now, by acknowledging that it is abnormal, and there's people who say, well, what is normal? Well, not much. But there's a normal range. And I believe they're born that way. That's not something they could help. But this is a pattern of trans people, young people in the last 3 or 4 cases, doing something really insane and evil. Don't forget Nashville, Tennessee, and other instances. When are we going to say this is not normal? And we better not treat it as normal, and we better not say we're going to affirm anything. When are we going to do that? I'm not understanding. And so they're not going to, the mainstream media will not go into this. Now, if it's one of their beloved groups, whether it's Islamists or trans in this case, are they going to ignore it? If it's a minority, are they going to ignore it? And they probably will. We're going to see. We're going to see how fast this fades. Remember how fast Nashville faded? And we never got the manifesto of the trans individual who killed all those 4 people? Let's watch how this happens. Now, it's a very different Justice Department. It's a very different FBI. And everything I've heard and read about the police chief out there, he's a real deal. How they were lucky enough to get him in a lunatic city run by idiots, in a lunatic state run by idiots. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong about him. Maybe he plays the game with them. I don't know. We'll find out. But they fall. The thing that you're watching the left-wing scum do, like their Mayor Fry and Jen Psaki and others, is they're condemning prayer. Did you hear these idiots? A number of you alerted me to Psaki. I didn't see her. She's a stupid fool. She's a liar. We know that from her time as press secretary. So there's no redeeming qualities there, except that she's glib and she can talk. So then they go back on the old trope of the guns. Well, they were all obtained legally in a left-wing state. Every time you throw it at the gun, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Sorry. It doesn't make any sense. And so, I don't know. Yeah, my man Frank sent me this Jen Psaki's reaction. It's disgusting. It's revolting. Now, one of our great listeners, and I don't have time to read it at the moment. I'll try to read it. He wrote an article after the New York City shootings. He wrote a letter to the editor, to I guess the Scranton Times, yeah. And I'll read it to you. It really captures what I argue with you regarding guns. So we have a dysfunctional home and a dysfunctional person. And now we have horrendous, unthinkable tragedy. Boy, the one clip that I keep seeing over and over again, it was a 10-year-old, red-haired kid. And he was talking about his friend covering him up, and that friend got hit. Man, I hope we got a medal for that friend. You imagine having that instinct at that age? So there's a lot of heroism amidst the calamity. As always, thank God. Gives you faith in human nature, even though human nature can be evil. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return after we hear from our great sponsors. A little history, a little music, and then you, 570-883-0098. Tamla Records. Murph tells us they released the Marvelous first single, Please, Mr. Postman, this date, 1961. The song would go on to sell over 1 million copies and, of course, become their signature song. And then the late, great, and I would say amazing Dr. Martin Luther King, you could picture it. We've seen the film clip. We can't play it because it's copyrighted and owned by the family or his foundation or whatever. 1963. 1963, that happened. The I Have a Dream speech, which has since become perverted by the left into something actually that would be unrecognizable to Martin Luther King. Somebody texted in, what nonsense you spread. Chicago shut down the police. Yeah, that's truthful. Well, let me ask you this question, Troll. First of all, again, I want to go back to the motivation. What makes you defend Mayor Brandon Johnson when in a recent poll, 6% of Chicagoans support him? But you're here like an idiot defending his horrendous administration, his callous, disgusting management of the city of Chicago. Unreal. Let me give you an example of Chicago shutting down the police. Okay? This is just one example. Do you know that since Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the predecessor, who we thought couldn't get worse than her, but we did, Brandon Johnson, do you know that Chicago police cannot pursue a suspect? Did you know that? I don't know what you'd call that. I'd call that shutting down the police. They can't pursue a suspect. And the same troll. I was in Philly last weekend, downtown, at night, riding my bike in the afternoon, so separate issue. Didn't see any war zones. Yeah, because you didn't go to any. My God, stop being such an idiot. Wow. That's frightening. All right, tough guy. Let's go to North Philly. I'll show you where to go. I did ride-alongs with the Philly police. I'll show you where to go, and then we'll see you go ride your bike. What are you, an idiot? Seriously. You're going to defend Krasner, the sick, insane DA? You're going to defend their left-wing council and mayor? Well, actually, this mayor is not as bad as I would have thought. Wow. Here's what they're saying. Here's what this fool is saying. Yeah, I was in Philly last week. I went to all the safe areas and everything was okay. Yeah. Okay. My God. That's just breathtakingly stupid. I don't get it, really. What is your motivation? I don't understand the motivation. To what? Justify idiotic policies? That makes you an idiot. Jeez. Oh, Cinderblock checking in. He says, one sad fact. I know the left is going to want to keep buried this Minneapolis shooter is that he identified as trans. It's bad enough that the left is using these poor, confused people as cannon fodder, that they are lied to by the mental health industry. Yes, they are. Chemically and surgically castrated by the medical industry and are killing themselves every time you turn around. Yep. But in the last couple of years, we've seen more and more trans individuals committing mass shootings and public attacks like this. When the hell is the left going to take responsibility? Never. Never, Cinderblock. Be aware of that. They never will. Listen to this fool. And by the way, we love you, fool. We really do. And appreciate you listening. I do. And appreciate you participating even more because you get to point out the insanity of your side. of this tiny minority of sick, twisted individuals that you would gladly reelect and that you defend for the indefensible. Unreal. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. We have the Veterans Tribute, the weather, and then you at 570-883-0098. Recollections of a Brit for World War I and recollections read by Sam Elliott regarding World War II. And the beautiful Bloomsburg Legion in gorgeous stonework at the hall. What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. Yeah, your next door neighbor and the men we salute, thanks to our man, John Basiliga, and his great companies as we head towards the weekend. Festa Italiana. Well, downtown, a Terra 519 and Sergey's will be hopping all weekend right on the square. Joseph Box Horvath. He passed away August 5th. He grew up in Hazleton. Gifted athlete who played every sport. His father was either coaching from the sidelines or cheering him on. He graduated from Hazleton High School in 1963 and the McCann School of Business in 64 before moving to Washington, D.C. to begin his career with the U.S. Department of the Navy. His service to his country included being drafted to Vietnam, and his distinguished career ultimately spanned over 30 years as Director of Procurement for Naval Affairs. In 1977, he married the love of his life, Sally Parks. After they retired, they built a home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. And she passed away in 2024. Joe continued to carry their shared joy for life with grace and strength. He's survived by a wide circle of friends and a number of family members. Former Hazletonian Joseph Box Horvath. Bob Kislin from Freeland. He was 92 when we lost him August 22nd. Born in 1933 in Eckley. Member of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception Parish, Freeland. Life member of the great VFW there. Was a member of the American Legion Post, the Jetto Stars Athletic Association, and the former Freeland Elks Lodge. 51 graduate of Foster Township High School, honorably discharged as a Korean conflict Army veteran. He was stationed in Germany with the rank of corporal. Before retiring, he was head custodian at Freeland Elementary School. He lost his wife, Magdalene, in December of 1999. Tragically, an infant daughter in 1960, Mary. Surviving are daughters, grandchildren, a great-granddaughter, and other family members. Bob Kislin, our great veterans, brought to you this hour and every hour, this day and every day, by our man John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Check out, when you go to the square, check out a Terra 519. Even if you just take a look and have a drink, check out Sergey's, the nightclub, all weekend. It will be roaring. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly to mostly sunny and milder with a chance of evening showers. 75 degrees. Warmest day of the week. Tonight, partly cloudy, 48. It's been nice and cool. Friday, partly cloudy, breezy and cool, 70. Saturday, sunny, 72. Sunday, sunny and milder, 78. Monday, Labor Day, sunny and mild, 78. That has to be the clearest Labor Day weather forecast in years. That is great. All right, so let's go to this. A couple. Hi, Bob. I'm Kevin from Sawyersville. I was the one who suggested Mr. Red, White, and Blue. I'm glad you played it for the veterans. Kevin, thank you so much. I always tell you guys, please remember this. When I say, LTS means love the show. ALTS means always love the show. And when I say back at you, I mean it. You guys make this stuff happen. And you make this show better because it's yours. It's ours. So thank you, Kevin. And we're going to play that, right, Bulldog? We're playing that every day. Probably, we're going to switch them up, I guess, but probably the 11 o'clock hour today. Yeah, 11 o'clock Veterans Tribute, 11:30. So thank you, Kevin. Somebody takes in, Bob, they outlawed transgender operations on children in Britain, stating they are dangerous and barbaric. Why don't we do it here and sue the doctors doing these insane operations on our kids? The Democrats and the lawmakers who support these barbaric operations are pure evil. They may not be pure evil, but this is an act of evil. There's no doubt about it. Somebody texts in, greetings and good morning, Bob ALTS. The trans community and the left will be vocal and speak out for Leah Thomas to be allowed to participate in women's sports, but are silent about the transgenders committing these shootings. I mean, it's tragic. And these people need help. They need our love. They need our compassion. Now, in some, even by my standards, you got to consider this murderer, this sick, depraved, evil scum. You've got to consider him or her. I actually can't remember what the transition was at the moment. You got to consider an adult and that an adult decision was made, but now the mother had, and I'm not, nothing to do with the crime, by the way. Literally nothing. But the mother signed off, so he must have transitioned as a youth. I don't know what I would do if I was confronted with a child who had gender dysphoria. I don't know. It would be incredibly difficult. I hope that I would love that child just as much as my other 5 children. And have all the compassion in the world, give the child room, give the child support. And when that child was an adult, well, then you can make your decision. Not before. You can make your decision on how you want to live your life. And my advice would be, don't do anything permanently altering because you just may change your mind. And it happens over and over again. Jesse Waters had a woman on, and I didn't get to write her name down, but she had worked at one of these, like in a transition psychiatric or counseling practice. And she said that basically they encourage them to do this. I don't get it. You're encouraging it. Encourage whatever the child is feeling. Acknowledge it. Support it. Don't direct it. That's what these sick professionals do. Medical and psychological. They direct the person. Well, you can't direct against their feelings either. As someone said, and had texted in, I don't know if they identified themselves in any way. They said, Stephen Dunmore says that today's New York Post had a story about this disgusting assassin. Yeah, I'd like to read about it. And you're going to hear the truth there. One of the listeners says, Bob LTS, leadership starts at home. If you don't have a strong leader in your family for your children, you've already lost half the battle. When I was 7, I thought I was Superman. My father did not take me to the top of the building and throw me off the roof and tell me fly because I was Superman. Parents today go along with a total falsehood, masquerading as a woman when you're a man. I don't go all the way with you there. I don't go all the way with you. Gender dysphoria is real. People are born wired all kinds of ways. How we handle it as parents, as a community, as a medical community, as a psychological community is the problem. And by the way, as a political community, the sick Democrats that lead that party, it's completely wrong. Remember, they're wrong about everything, but they're fatal about a lot of things. Yeah, by the way, somebody else on the Chicago crime thing, Bob LTS, how many crimes? Remember, did you see this fat goofball Pritzker And I'm fat, so I try to use it as a pejorative. I use it to myself. I'm not his size, obviously. How many crimes happen at 6 a.m. near the lake in downtown Chicago? Yeah, especially when you got a security detail. Remember him showing how safe Chicago was? This is how sick they are. He didn't even go to the bad parts of Chicago with his security detail. Back after this. Billy Joe Royal. Murph says this date, 1965, moved up to number 9 on the charts with his hit, Down in the Boondocks. Place we all think we've been one time or another. I mentioned Steve from Dunmore told us about this New York Post article. I'm telling you, New York Post, I had a decision in prison because these printed newspapers are very expensive. And so my father asked me, what newspaper would you like? And I sort of wanted the Wall Street Journal. I didn't want the local rags. But the paper, because it had a good business section, good real estate section, it was funny, great pictures, great headlines, and it covered all the news. The best newspaper overall was the New York Post. Anyway, transgender mass shooter Robin Westman confessed that he was tired of being trans and wished that he never brainwashed himself in his manifesto that he posted online before he slaughtered 2 children and wounded dozens more at a Minneapolis church. Yeah. I'm tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself, he wrote. Frightening. He couldn't cut his hair, he said, because that would be like a defeat, almost announcing a defeat. He was planning this attack. I mean, God. That is pure evil. That's what that is. Please don't tell me the devil is not amongst us. Crazy stuff. And 2 lives that were barely lived are snuffed out. Thank God the other 17 that were injured have survived. But, man, this tragedy, and then to have that, I feel sorry, even though they elected them. I feel sorry for the people of Minnesota, the people of Minneapolis, to have this kind of disgusting leadership. Just awful. Absolutely awful people. By the way, they didn't talk as much about the guns, oddly enough, as they did about attacking prayer. And they move in lockstep. You'll hear all don't give me your thoughts and prayers. You're going to hear that. That's now the new left. As if they have solutions. See, they're lying to you. They claim they've got solutions for everything through their power with the government over you. That's their solutions, and they never work. Somebody texts in, and this is right. No more trans crap in school. If you're caught teaching any gender crap, you lose the ability to teach anywhere in the U.S. I agree with you. Joe from Trip Spark says doctors like Jordan Peterson and many others lost their jobs. In his case, they went after his license for pointing out in the 90s that a lot of trans men, particularly men, often suffer from mental issues and sex fetishes that could be dangerous. This was not an opinion. This was the fact based on these studies. These people should be helped and guided, not encouraged and ignored when there's dangerous behavior. Yeah, as though, it's just another. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's a serious affliction that needs love, support, and direction so it could play out as best as possible instead of in this way. But the left will never learn. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, my Bicardo Jewelers watch, and it's a Bicardo, not a Breitling, which they sell, not an Oris, which they sell, not a Longines, which they sell. not Michelle, not Shinola, not Luminox, not Swiss Army, not Seiko, all of which they sell. It is a true Picardo watch, and it tells me it's 10:02. We've got to go to the news with Brian Hughes. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:09 and 43 seconds. Somebody asked if it was made in Scranton. No, it isn't, but sold there by the great Picardo family. And it is Thursday, August 28th, 2025, the eve of the great Festa Italiana. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. It's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John, like Joseph Box Horvath, formerly of Hazleton, Bob Kislin, Freeland, James Sudsy Fiume, Pittston, John Gary Cunningham, Scranton, Jerry Hyde, Peckville, and Bernie Baffiel, Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you, with our commitment to common sense, a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of this morning. Quickly, just something I want to throw in here. David Harris pointing out, he's got a great Instagram feed. Churches across America are facing a wave of violence, up 730% in just 6 years. 415 hostile acts against Christian churches were reported last year alone. And that, by the way, that doesn't matter. That doesn't count what's happening globally that we know about. Just be aware of that. Well, a festival that has certainly religious overtones, which is great, but is an amazing celebration, started decades and decades ago, originally on the Columbus Day weekend, the Festa Italiana. It's starting tomorrow. And who better to talk about that than, he not only like chairs this whole thing, and he'll be running around with, with the cell phone and the pager and the and the walkie-talkie. Our man Chris DiMatteo. Chris, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
Roberto, buongiorno.
Well, Chris, you don't sound tired.
Oh, I'm exhausted, but hey, a lot of adrenaline and pizza freeze keep me going.
This is an incredible weekend. The amount of work that goes in it, nobody can appreciate. It's staggering. Tell us,
but it's fun. But I was listening to your, the little intro, and so La Festa was started in 1976 when the 250th. The 200th birthday of this great land, and a lot of ethnic organizations were asked to put on festivals, and it was Columbus Day of 1976 when La Festa got started, and had it not snowed on Columbus Day weekend in I think 1980, it wouldn't have moved to 1981, but to Labor Day weekend, but it's been great. The weather's been great ever since.
Well, that was a great move. It really was. I remember as a young man and as a kid and a young man how cold it was.
It snowed. The poets said it snowed there was snow on their instruments, and they said, "Oh my gosh, how are we gonna keep this going?" But and as far as the religious, Monsignor Sicanolfi has been a long time member of our committee, and he keeps us in line. He makes sure that we're family oriented festival, and of course between him and Father Dave Capelloni from St. Anthony, St. Rocco, St. Mary's in Dunmore, we have that mass on Sunday. Traditionally, it's at 10 a.m. Mass is mostly in Italian.
Yeah.
We have a local celebrity, Thomas T.J. Capobianco, who comes in from the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City to sing at the Mass as well as La Festa. Just, you keep the traditions alive, and when you lose the language, you lose your heritage a lot. So we're so happy to Father Dave and Monsignor Sicanolfi for keeping that Mass a tradition.
Is
course,
Father
Bishop
Capelloni
Bandera.
going to sing? I love when he sings.
Yeah, see,
Capelloni's great.
Well, even if you're singing, he's going to sing over you. No, beautiful voice, Joe Moffat, and the choir at St. Anthony's. They do, it's just a wonderful job. You're in tears when you leave Mass.
Yeah,
you really are.
Yeah,
tears of joy.
That was something I've done. I've got to do that again this year. I haven't done it in a few years. I've got to do that. Hey, so Chris, it's starting Friday.
It's starting Friday, but and I also want to keep to the intro with the theme of and you're terrific at honoring the veterans. Well, as you know, Gene Passarella, who used the Dempsey name for the band, 100 years old.
Yeah.
100 years old,
Yeah.
and so I want all your listeners to come down on Monday, Labor Day at noon. I know Vince Brust and his ballroom dancers will be down there. Listen to a great big band. I mean, Gene is well known for his accomplishments on the stage. Now he's being recognized for all his accomplishments from the invasion in Europe up until the Battle of the Bulge, where he was wounded. Just an incredible guy. So we're gonna have a few surprises for him. So the more the merrier that could come down on Labor Day Monday and say thank you to Gene for his service, and thank you for leading a big band. I mean, you close your eyes and you think it's the Glenn Miller Orchestra up there.
Hey, so it starts Friday. What
Friday,
time?
4:00. Honoring another great musician on Friday night. There's just some terrific entertainment, but we lost Paul LaBelle, a couple of months ago. So the Exact Change Band is going to get together, do a nice tribute to Paul at around 5:30, and Civic Ballet Company, Picture Perfect Band. That's just some of the entertainment that we have on two stages tomorrow night.
That's the thing about it. It is, I mean, I remember when we redesigned the square, I redesigned it and I said, it's got to accommodate what is our best event, which is Festa Italiana. And that's a four street total courthouse square event. And that's the thing people appreciate. They call it the Italian 500 to walk around the square and check everything out. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Well, and again, the renovations, it's made for a very safe environment. But if you think about it, and you've traveled to Europe, and many of your listeners have, Courthouse Square is like our piazza.
Yeah.
Where people gather to enjoy themselves, to relax, have some conversation, maybe throw on a festival or two. And Lackawanna County Courthouse Square in downtown Scranton is our piazza.
Yep.
So there's, in fact, we utilize all the space.
One of the squares is called Piazza dell'Arte.
Yeah, and right in the Piazza dell'Arte, we've actually done that. So we've created. We have Mark Gioca, who's a well-known local artist. He'll have some prints there of the local community. But that's where we have our heritage tent. Jeff D'Angelo created a fun, loving, along with Kevin McDonough from Max Signs, a beautiful rendition of Italy as best we can, and then our volunteers from the old St. Lucy's Parish in Westside, they'll also have a display there. So when you get to that piazza, you get a little bit of history, you get a bit of heritage to appreciate your Italian culture and the community as well.
Give us how many stands, how many vendors do we got, how many musical acts, all that?
Well, like over 70 vendors, over 70, like 60 acts that are performing. Bob, you don't have to have a dime to come down to La Festa and just enjoy it. As far as, buying food, there's all different cuisine. I mean, it's mostly Italian. It's probably 80% of the vendors are Italian and local restaurants. That's family restaurants. We're bringing Old Forge, we're bringing Dunmore, we bring all these great restaurants and family recipes to downtown Scranton that weekend. Yeah, we have a couple of bakers that come in from the Brooklyn, Staten Island area, but again, mostly local bakers, local vendors as well. And as far as the entertainment goes, we've imported some talent from the Philadelphia, New York area as far as the Italian vocalists go. But, we're really happy that, the cameos will be coming back. Old friends celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Yeah, wow.
The Longo brothers. Nikki Rasmus she's beautiful, terrific, wonderful voice, does a great tribute show to Connie Francis. Of course, your friend Daddy-O and the Sax Maniacs on Sunday night as well. But I want to highlight Lorenzo Pugliese. Nick the Shoemaker. This would be his grandson.
Yep.
He's really got a name for himself. He's performed all over the country with some different Broadway shows, and
he was Sonny in Cher in the Cher deal.
Yeah, he was Sonny.
He's world class.
He is. And I was doing a Marco Morcinco jazz event back in December, and I was on stage with Lorenzo, and I said, "Boy, it'd be great if you could come and perform at La Festa." And we started talking about Frankie Valli, and he goes, "Well, Chris, that's one of the characters I do. I kind of have a Frankie Valli." So he's performed in some shows like that. So Kenny McGraw, we thought Lorenzo was going to be on tour this particular weekend, and he was able to get a break. So we're going to do a very abbreviated Frankie Valli tribute show on Saturday night, right before another local person who now I think is in the Philadelphia area, Frank Provenzano, does a great Billy Joel tribute.
Chris, I'm just amazed. After all these years, you're making it better every year. You guys are making it better every year.
Wow. And Bob, Connie Francis just passed away. If you come down and see Nikki at 4:00 on Sunday, close your eyes, you think it's Connie Francis.
Yeah.
Same with Billy Joel. I mean, with all that he's been going through with him and his family and in the news, and to celebrate these great performers. There's nothing like
you have your Dean Martin guy. Is your
music.
Dean Martin guy coming in this year?
Yeah. Well,
now,
Dean and I.
Chris, I tell you, I'm a groupie for a lot of these bands, but I get to see them during the year at various places, like Daddy-O and Picture Perfect, and these guys, and even Kenny McGraw. But I get to see. I'm a Chris DiMatteo groupie, and I admit it. And your beautiful parents are going to be there.
Yep.
And I'll be there to watch you and the
make
Dean
sure
Martin
your mother
guy.
has a chair at your. You make sure your mother has a chair at your table because
She's
she
been
was
invited. She's been invited.
My first to come. Frank, Kenny and I have been together about 40 years, but the first accompanist I had, I think, when I was 7 years old, was Anne-Marie Cordaro in your living room.
Now, just for the audience, please listen to this. I know Chris DiMatteo since one of the things we used to do when someone would have a baby in the neighborhood, and we're 4, 5, 6 years old. I watched Chris DiMatteo be brought into his home when he was born. That's how long I know Chris DiMatteo.
Yep.
Well,
but it's a fun show. We enjoy. We kind of do it like the Rat Pack did. We don't rehearse. We've got Kenny backs us up. But I have to say, our friend Dean Martin is bringing in his special friend Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, neat!
And this Marilyn Monroe that's coming in, she's been on a number of television shows and movies in her own right. So it's gonna. We don't know what's gonna happen. That's the fun of it. So we're gonna have a good time.
So much work. We thank you and the whole committee for putting this together every year. It really is the highlight of a lot of people's year, and deservedly so. I'll be excited to be there all weekend, and thank you for doing it. Friday, 4 o'clock kickoff.
Check the website. Yep, check the website out and all this stuff.
What does it say? Festa Italiana? What?
Yeah, lafestaitaliana.org.
All right, great. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate
Well,
you
we'll see. I look
telling us
forward to
all
seeing
about
you.
it. You will see me.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, man.
Bye.
Chris DiMatteo, Festa Italiana, kicking off tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Lackawanna County Courthouse Square. No matter where you are listening to me, it's worth the trip. We'll be back. If you go to the Bloomsburg Legion, you'll see beautiful memorials outside that building. And one of them says, "What is a veteran?" A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, I would add peacetime or in war, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. Believe it. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Sergey's and a Terra 519. There'll be a place to stop this weekend during Festa Italiana. John Cunningham. He was 82. We lost him July 7th. He was born in Scranton and a native of the Newfoundland Greentown area. He loved the Pocono Mountains where he enjoyed hunting and fishing. He was a home builder for 30 years in Wayne, Pike, and Monroe counties. He and his wife, Fran, moved to Florida in 2017. He's survived by his wife of 57 years, Frances Cunningham of Clark Summit, a sister, and many other family members. He was a graduate of Greenbrier Sterling High School in Newfoundland in 1960. He then entered Lackawanna Junior College and earned an associate degree. On June 3rd, 1964, he joined the Army Reserve, serving over 5 years and rising to the rank of sergeant. He attended Penn State Dunmore campus and became a realtor. John Cunningham. James Sudsy Fiume, Pittston. He passed away at the age of 100 on August 21st at the Geno Murley Veterans Center. He was born in Pittston, graduate of Pittston High School. He was preceded in death by his wife, Marjorie, brothers, and other family members. He survived by his son, James. They live in Virginia, his grandchildren, and many other family members. James served us in World War II as a combat engineer and was awarded the Soldier's Medal. He then continued his service in the U.S. Army Reserve 300th Field Hospital for 35 years. Life member and 4th degree Knight of Columbus of the St. Rocco's Parish. He worked at PennDOT as a state electrical inspector for over 25 years. Special thanks to the Geno Murley Center from James Sudsy Fiume. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga. And as we go to Festa Italiana, a nice stop in at a Terra 519 and the nightclub Sergey's. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly to mostly sunny and milder with a chance of evening showers, 75 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, 48 is the low. Partly cloudy, breezy, and cool. Friday, just 70 degrees. Saturday, sunny, high 72. Sunday, sunny and milder, high 78. Monday, Labor Day, sunny and mild, 78. I was actually going to ask Chris DiMatteo. I don't know if there has been this great of a warm weather forecast for the Festa. There's always some kind of rain or something, right? At least as far as I recall. So good stuff. I love that. Barry Maguire, this date 1965, moving up the charts with his hit Eve of Destruction. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Pat from Mountaintops loves the salute to the veterans. And I like to keep adding to it, too, by the way. Somebody texted, let me see if they identify themselves. But it says, Bob, just so everybody knows, and I'll tell you what, they think that Rob Bresnahan is vulnerable. Okay? And I got to tell you, he's not. And we're going to win that race and that reelection, not only because he's a quality guy, but he is doing an amazing job for us as our congressman. And we're going to have Mayor Many Names running for that office. She's running for that office before she ever even accomplishes anything as mayor of Scranton. So and she's a left-wing lunatic on top of all that. But somebody points out, Rob Bresnahan, who has an advisor trading for him, but they disclose his trades regardless. And he's not privy to any more inside information than we are as a first-term 7-month congressperson. And somebody texted in a list. Ro Khanna, one of the big supposed moderates in the Democrat Party, he's nothing of the kind. Ro Khanna from California, 2,900 trades for $41 million. Another trading for $37 million. Senator Blumenthal, despicable human being, 192 trades for $34 million. He's not even close, as our great listener points out, to near the top. And that, by the way, that doesn't even count Nancy Pelosi. Please. You're not going to get the whole truth out of these newspapers, frankly, or the morning show. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. Somebody takes in, Paige has been running for governor since she first ran for school board. Yeah. She certainly doesn't, wherever she is, she wants to be someplace else. And that's the case with Mayor, which is part of the reason she's done such a horrible job. She doesn't want to be there. That's why she quit school board before she had to make a tough decision or take a tough vote. Yeah, really helped out the school district. Well, we couldn't get to her yesterday. And being the diva she is, I'm amazed we got her to call back today. It's Lorraine. She's from Hazleton, and she has a poem and a theme song, actually 2 of them. Hi, Lorraine.
Hiya, Bob, many names. Oh, my gosh. I went through all the names in a book in my head here talking to myself. I think my phone went dead here.
Listen, you diva, you didn't even hang on for 5 minutes yesterday.
Oh, baloney. My God, I've been hanging on so much I have a ring around my neck. Jeez.
All for a lousy poem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just to
all
tell
for
us.
A lousy Bob, many names.
Just to spread joy. It took you this much effort. That says something about you, Lorraine.
Yeah, I'm terrific.
Yes, exactly.
I'm patient.
You're not part Polish, are you?
Nope.
See, that's the only part of me that's patient is my Polish part.
Oh, maybe the Slovak.
Well, the Slovaks are a little more patient too, but the Polish people, I just remember waiting in lines in Poland, and I used that to console myself whenever I was waiting in a line.
I'll let you do that.
All right, Lorraine, you've got a poem. You've promised. You've got to deliver.
Now I'm going to make you wait. Okay. Bob, many names. Okay. That's going to be your new name. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, on a wing and a prayer. Some people walk through life on a wing and a prayer. This process can be very difficult to do. You may be hanging on to a wing while counting on a prayer to come through for you. We often look to our friends for help or advice. Many times they may make promises that they cannot keep. Our spirits then take a nosedive. It is in these moments that we have to dig deep. They say that prayer is very powerful, but many people do give up hope. And in this day and age, it can be very unbearable to try and cope. If I suggest not to give up, this action is easier said than done, because advice is one thing people would rather give than receive. Now is the time to turn to the Lord, for He would be the only reliable one.
Nice. Well, we've got left-wing politicians dismissing prayer as our response. And,
yeah, I know.
And that, boy, does that piss me off. I've got to tell you, hearing that.
Language.
I know.
Listen, yes, when I was watching that mayor, is it, saying about, he doesn't want to hear about prayer or whatever, thoughts and prayers, and then he goes right into the next line. Oh, the kids were in mass praying. I thought, wow, did you hear what you just said?
Yeah. No, they don't get, there's no self-awareness there. None.
Yeah.
None. Well, Lorraine, thank you. And I appreciate your patience with us. It's mostly the Bulldog's fault.
No, it's not.
It is.
No.
He's smiling on the other side of the glass. I could tell it's his fault.
You owe me a visit.
Well, okay.
Bring me some pierogies or meatballs or whatever.
I'll bring Chauncey.
Oh no, dear Lord,
I'm bringing. If I come, I'm bringing the Bulldog and the Bull Mastiff.
Oh no, you have to leave them in the car. You have to put them on my porch or something. Dear.
All right. Well, thank you, Lorraine. We appreciate it.
Okay, I have to say fuzzy wuzzy.
For Mark Mayer, our pleasure. Thank you, dear. Talk to you soon. Have a good Labor Day weekend.
Oh, yeah, terrific. I'll see you.
Get up to the Festa. That'll make your weekend. Hey, quickly, Mother Teresa for August 28th. I don't want to forget it. If you hear of someone who doesn't want to have her child, who wants to have an abortion, try to convince her to bring the child to me. Tell her to go to the Providence Pregnancy Center, I'll also tell you. I will love that child who is a sign of God's love. I don't think any human heart should dare to take life, or any human hand be raised to destroy life. Life is the life of God in us. Life is the greatest gift that God has bestowed on human beings. And man has been created in the image of God. Life belongs to God, and we have no right to destroy it. Mother Teresa for today. Powerful message. We'll take a break and be back. The Beatles. Murph tells us this date, 1966, they performed before 45,000 fans at Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles, in their final tour of the U.S. They started the show with rock and roll music, and that's why we played it today. Bob Cordaro back, and of course, Bill Clinton. William Jefferson Clinton renominated for a second term at the National Convention in Chicago, this date, 1996. The days, I look at them wistfully, the days of normal Democrats. Somebody asked, Bob, why was your mayor, meaning Mayor Paige Cognetti of Scranton, in the Luzerne County papers yesterday? She has nothing to do with us, and I have seen the streets in Scranton and feel sorry for the residents for many reasons besides that. She's a shameless politician. Hope people wise up. LTS from Mountaintop. Well, it's going to be partly your decision in Luzerne County. She's running for Congress. I've been saying that for, 8 months now, longer? She hasn't been performing as mayor. She's been running for higher office. She's moving on. That's what she did as a school director. That's what she did at each one of her jobs. Eventually, you're going to get exposed for doing nothing and accomplishing nothing. And here we are. Nothing has happened in the city of Scranton. There's a great Republican candidate, Trish Bynum. But my guy is Gene Barrett, and I think he's the guy that can win. And it's important that he win. They're not going to elect a Republican for mayor in Scranton. They're just not going to do it. But Democrats and Democrat voters can vote with some sensibility and get her out of office. She's got to go. Hey, I mentioned a guy named Andrew Massimilian, manager at Ransom Recreational Shooting Sports. And he wrote you could call it an op-ed, but he wrote into the Times Tribune regarding gun control. The last time there was an incident in New York City. Remember the guy with the gun going into killed the off-duty cop in Manhattan? He says, editor, we can always count on your paper to print illogical rants when it comes to guns, and the August 4 editorial where it lent its voice to the New York Daily News, which is a stupid, idiotic paper. It's sold for $1. That's how good that paper is. And the Scranton Times, because they're too lazy to write their own editorials, they borrow the Daily News editorials. Anyway, he continues. The writer whines that the axiom, guns don't kill people, people kill people, is a fallacy only the gullible believe. And that the rifle used to murder 4 in the recent New York City shooting is responsible, not the shooter's motive. Using that flawed logic, cars cause traffic accidents, not poor driving, and computer keyboards are blameful for foolish editorials, not smug. Oh, darn it, I pressed the wrong darn button, you bozo. Where the heck is it? Let's see if it comes back up for me. Yeah, I lost it. Anyway, a great, smart editorial. And really just clever. And my apologies. I lost it and was in the middle of reading it and touched something and it went off. Anyway, I point out, and I say it all the time. Thank you to Andrew Massimilian for that. What did they say when the trucks mowed over people in Europe and then in Manhattan on the east side? What did they say then? What did they say when it happened in Wisconsin? Oh, we should ban trucks? We should ban vans? What did they say? You know, it's silliness. Crazy stuff. we just can't play this game with the left. They are wrong about everything. They're wrong about everything. Somebody says, Bob, what was that nonsense Mayor Many Names posted about her accomplishments? Any of that true? Yeah. Things that happened while in the things, you know what you call it? Things that happened without my help in the last 5 years. That's what her accomplishments could be. Lee points out you can tell it's election time in Scranton. They're actually paving some streets. And by the way, I got a building knocked down that I was complaining about that I drive by every day. But it sat there for 5 years, but it got knocked down in time for the election. Somehow. What a crazy thing. What a crazy thing. Hey, I look, my Picardo's watch. It tells me it's 11 o'clock and change. And remember, at Picardo's, not only, by the way, finest jewelry store you'll go to, period. That's where I buy Cutie all of her gifts. Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Picardo watches like the one I'm wearing, and more. Well, they say it's 11 and change, so it means it's time for the news. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Well, as England gives up its culture and its country, we say great good morning, everyone. 11:09 a.m. That's what it says on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. And that's the time here in the great Northeast on this beautiful Thursday, August 28, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great restaurants, including a Terra 519 and the nightclub at Sergei's, who will be right in the middle of a Festa Italiana this weekend, we honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today. Thanks to John. Like James Sudsy Fiumi. He died at 100, August 21st. He was from Pittston. John Cunningham, late of Newfoundland. Joseph Box Horvath, Hazleton. Robert Bob Kislon, Freeland. Jerry Hyde of Peckville. And Bernie Bafeel of Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle, gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity in a world full of insanity here on the Bob Cordaro Show. Now, we'll do it the rest of the hour. And we're going to have a new feature this fall. I became friends with a guy named Chet Parlavecchio, old Penn State football star, played for the Packers. He is, and elsewhere in the NFL, coached in the NFL, and is in the New Jersey State Hall of Fame for his coaching exploits and his time as an amazing professional and college athlete. And I've been talking to him for a long time about coming on the show. And when I was here on Sundays, I had a Sunday show, which I do once a month, way back when, before I went to prison. I was always worried they were going to pull me out in cuffs. But I've been dying to get him on the show, and nobody knows the game better than him. And I said, all right, we've got the Weekend Warrior. He'll be on tomorrow because it's a big college football weekend. But to analyze college and pro sports and analyze the games on Mondays, we're going to turn to Chet Parlavecchio this year. And here he is now, our man, Chet Parlavecchio. He harkens back to the old disco days with his theme song. Chester, how are you, my man?
Bobby, what's up? Good to hear from you, buddy. Man, I was having a good time listening. I was listening to the things going on in England. I thought it was going to be the wrong football for a minute. I thought I was going to be doing soccer.
Well, we do a lot of those kinds of things here, and it's the thrust of the show, but we love football, too. And that's why we got the Chet man to explain it all to us.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, Chester. Now tell me, you're a New Jersey football star, high school football star. How do you get to Penn State? How does Joe Paterno get his hooks in you?
It was actually kind of funny, Bobby. I was the number 3 rated linebacker in America coming out of college. A guy by the name of Jack Del Rio, who wound up being a great coach in the league for years, and Bobby Crable, who wound up playing for the Jets for a few years. They were 1 and 2. So I pretty much said I could have picked anywhere really in the country I wanted to go. And I made it very easy on Coach Paterno. I made it very clear. Hey, let's be honest. I'm an Italian-American. Paterno ends in a vowel. My name ended in a vowel, so I knew he'd get along with my mother well, and I knew I'd eat good. And it was local. I mean, if you remember back then, Bobby, in those days, in the late 70s, they used to have the Penn State weekly show on, and which was a great voice. Who was the guy from the NFL? The great voice that used
John
to do
Vicenda?
it. Yeah, no, John. No, this guy was the voice of the NFC Central Division. He was I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, and George Paterno. And it was on for an hour right before the Monday night football game. Remember, back then the Monday night football game went on at 9 o'clock, which was usually too late for every kid because they were asleep and had to go to school. But anyway, I fell in love with Penn State. And, of course, linebacker U. How could you not? I was a linebacker. This is linebacker U. And quite honestly, I made it known very early that that's where I wanted to go. And I really only visited 3 places. And, you know, I just made it easy on Penn State. And it was, obviously I have no regrets. But that was how I got there. It was the Penn State football show and, quite frankly, linebacker U. I was a linebacker. I was for the best linebacker school in the country.
All right, so you play Penn State. Give me a couple of highlights at Penn State. I remember I was in college at the time, but we would hear the games, and it was always D'Amico and Parlavecchio. I loved it.
Well, we always had the Italian connection, which was pretty good. Matter of fact, some guy years later, my senior year, came out with buttons, Parlavecchio, the Italian enforcer. It was great. Those buttons were going big through the stadium. Actually, my mother still had about 3 or 4 of them when she passed. We found them.
Neat.
Yeah, but you know, it was, that era was different. That era of football was the first time that Penn State really entered the land into the so-called big time. The early 80s into the mid-80s, we played the Ohio States, the Southern Cals, the Notre Dames, the Miamis, the Nebraskas, and we beat them. And that was what was the difference. We go into Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl, we beat them. We play Southern Cal with obviously Marcus Allen, a Heisman Trophy winner, and we beat them. We played Pitt, who was #1 in the nation on national television, and we blew them out with Dan Marino. So it was that era where Penn State really took the big step into those types of games. They were always regarded as a top football program, but really with that era of football, and of course the national championship that was won in the early 80s, that solidified us now as a major, competitor for a national title every year. The ability to play those teams, whether it be home, on the road, and more importantly, beat those teams, was paramount in the growth of Penn State football. And that was something that we took a lot of pride in. The early 80s was the toughest schedule Penn State had ever played. And actually my senior year, by the Dunkel Index, remember back then they had that index, we had won the national title. Just on base strength of schedule. So it was an exciting time for Penn State. It was a step into the big time, the real big time. And more importantly, it was a successful step.
So Chet Parlavecchio is our guest. He's a Penn State and NFL player and a Hall of Fame high school coach. He was also an NFL coach. You go to the NFL. Now, a lot of friends of mine and people I played against on small college football, they went to the NFL, and they had to have been blinded by the light. You're coming from playing in front of 100,000 people. How was it to transition to the pros?
Something at first, the number one thing was you wondered, do I belong here? Can I be an effective coach? Do I belong here? And one thing that back then, with the Titans, Mike Munchak was our head coach, great legend.
No, I'm talking about when you played, when you made the transition, when you played.
Oh, the playing from that.
Yeah.
It real simple, Bobby. As far as a player, I was in more physical games as a college player. Remember, more emphasis on the run game, a more physical style. The biggest difference at the NFL level was the speed of the game in the passing game, how accurate it was and how fast things happened. But as far as physicality, hey, listen, I lined up against Sean Farrell, Mike Munchak, Jim Romano every day. Those are 3 first-round draft picks. Who the hell are you going to scare me with in the NFL? I'm playing against those guys every day in practice.
Yeah.
So for me, as far as do you belong, obviously you want to make a name for yourself. Obviously you want to catch people's eye. But you have to understand that when you go to a training camp from college, you're not just trying out for that team that you're playing for. You're trying out for every team in the NFL, because whether it works out there or not, you want to put a successful game on film so that other people see you. And in my career, that helped me twice. Twice people picked me up because of the job that I did against them when I played for somebody else. So again, understanding what you're involved in, going into that, obviously that level, there's some stage fright at first. But once you settle in and you just start playing the game, football's football. And like I said, where I went to school, I had 12 guys get drafted my senior year. So it wasn't like I wasn't used to playing with professionals.
Mm-hmm.
The day we played Pitt, Bobby, there were of 44 positions, there was 36 future NFL players on the field, 4 Hall of Famers.
Amazing.
I mean, so again, the type of player, other than the color of the helmet, and like I said, the crowd was a letdown. I played in front of more people at Penn State.
And they were more excited.
And more excited. I mean, let me tell you something. You can hear crickets in some of the stadiums I were in.
Yeah,
It was just,
Chet, which NFL teams you're with? I know the Packers.
I was drafted by the Packers, played 2 years with them. I blew my knee out, came back off that surgery. And back then, the surgery was a lot different. It was much more severe back then. Today, I would have been out maybe a half a year, and I would have been back. But what are you going to do? Those were the times. And the sad part was I was running down on a kick in New England. I never even got hit. I just put my foot in the turf. Remember that, Bobby, that old AstroTurf? That was responsible for more injuries, that stuff. And I blew my knee out, came back, made the team, released from Green Bay, and then played with the Cardinals for a year and a half. And then my knee was just gone. I remember on Thanksgiving Day, I'm running down on a kick, and my knee goes out. And it was sad because back that day, I was playing real good football, and I was becoming a real good special teams player. And I had the honor of that day, Billy Bates was going to be my assignment all day long. Me and him were going to be matched up, and I was so excited by it. I thought it was such an honor. And the opening kickoff, my leg goes again. Oh. They carried me off on national television. The first thing I said to the coach was, "You better let me get to the locker room." He goes, "Why?" I said, "Because my mother's crying over her turkey right now. I can guarantee you, you just ruined Thanksgiving. I just destroyed Thanksgiving."
Well, you know what, though? You turned that difficulty immediately to coaching. And you had a great football camp, which I got to participate in the 1 year. Yep. Great football camp. Jersey Hall of Fame. For that coaching career. You coached in the NFL with Mike Munchak. I mean, really an amazing career. I mean, you Google Chet Parlavecchio, you find some great stuff.
You know, something, Bobby, was funny, and you talk about fate and lessons learned. I went through a very bad time after my second surgery. I went through a very bad time. And I was down in my basement doing airplane models. And my mother, hello?
Yeah.
No.
I'm here.
Hello?
We're here.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Chet,
Bobby. I'm new at this.
No, Chet, I have a habit. When I'm listening, I don't talk.
Oh, okay. So I like that. So I was down in my mother's basement doing airplane models. She comes down here and says, "Man, you got to get out of here. What's happening to you?" I said, "I was really bad, Bobby. It was what I lived for. It was my dream."
Yeah.
And a friend of mine called me and said, "Listen, I know you're home. I need help with this high school team." It was called Governor Livingston. I said, he goes, "Can you just come maybe?" And I fell in love with these 28 kids. And it took me years to realize that maybe that's what God had, maybe was supposed to happen. Maybe he wanted me to work with kids and try to make kids' lives better. And you know something, Bobby? It doesn't make the money the NFL does, but the satisfaction of seeing a young man that just maybe had a little bit to do with what he became is really something special. You know, I mean, I've got former players of mine that are head coaches, athletic directors. They just it was nice to know that maybe you had just a little bit to do with it.
Well, not only are you quite the character, which I think comes across even in this interview, but but you know, a guy of your level of talent often doesn't analyze the game at the same time. And when I saw the combination of the two after I met you through Mike Munchak, I said, this guy's got to be on the air. This guy's got to be a commentator on football. And we have the chance to do it starting Mondays at 11 o'clock. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I am too, Bobby. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, we'll talk about the nuances of the game. I've been thinking since we talked how I want to handle this. And I want to give insights into things that people don't know, you know what I mean, about preseason and things like that. When, you know, what coaches are thinking and players are thinking, and the reality of what really happens and not what you think happens. I always get a kick out of listening to NFL football in the preseason because if they ever had a clue that really what goes on game day, you wouldn't value watching any young player play because you don't know if it's for real or not. In other words, in the NFL, we don't game plan in the preseason. Mm-hmm. So when you think you got this young player that's, wow, he looks great, he looks this, he looks that, well, that's in a whole different environment. That's when they're not game planning. The number ones aren't on the field. It's going to be a whole different ball game. So you always have to temper your excitement with young players and look for the important things. Look for his feeling. Is he enamored by the moment? Does he have a sense of himself in space? Can he play in space? Is the game too fast for him? I look at those things with young players because as far as how good they're going to be, you're not going to tell it in the preseason. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to those insights. We're not going to let you get too deep into the weeds, But
okay, I'm with it.
But we're going to have a
I've
fun.
I've always done a good job of following you. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. No.
11:05 Monday. It's Chet Parlavecchio on whatever the weekend brought us in football. It's a big college weekend coming up. We're going to have the Weekend Warrior tomorrow talking about and giving us his picks. And we're looking forward to your post-weekend analysis. Very excited about that.
I'm going to leave this by saying anyone that bets on college football within the first 3 weeks of the season should get their head examined with the transfer portal. You got Vegas not even setting odds on half these games. You've got to be out of your mind to bet a college game today.
That's a subject we got to touch on too, because
absolutely
it is, man. It's ruining the game and will eventually destroy
it. It's ruined. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. Bobby, we could do a whole thing on that. Listen, we'll do it later.
Chet Parlavecchio. He's our Monday guy. We're looking forward to it. He's got a theme song. It's a little fruity, but I said, he's a real man, so he can do it.
I won a dance competition to that song.
That's right. He was in a Dancing in the Stars
I won
deal.
Dancing with the Stars to that song. And by the way, the audience out there, if you'd like to look it up, look up Chet Parlavecchio, Dancing with the Stars, and you'll see the whole performance.
It really wasn't bad. I watched it, Chester. All right, my man. Looking forward to Monday. Have a great Labor Day weekend. We'll talk to you. That's right. It won't be Monday. It'll be Tuesday. We'll talk to you at 11.
I'll talk to you Tuesday.
All right, my man.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Sam Elliott reading a letter of one of the Normandy invaders from D-Day, and then, of course, a soldier from England, from Great Britain, referencing World War I. And then you go to the Bloomsburg Legion, and you see a beautiful stone, and it says, "What is a veteran?" A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, wartime or peacetime, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of up to and including his or her life. Well, the veterans we salute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. This weekend, when you're down at the Italian Festival, stop in and see one of the most beautiful restaurants you will ever see. Have a drink, have dinner. A Terra 519, and then Sergei's, the nightclub. Stop and check that out. It's a blast. 519 Linden Street for both of them. Jerry Hyde. He died August 27th. I knew Jerry. He was only 74. He was from Peckville. He was the husband of Terry Doherty Hyde. They were high school sweethearts and would have celebrated their 53rd wedding anniversary this September 2nd. Jerry was born in Peckville, graduate of Archbald High School, a member of the Christ the King Parish, Archbald. He served us in the U.S. Army National Guard. He was retired vice president of computer sales for TR Associates, Archbald. He was a 54-year member of Hrishak McAndrew American Legion post in Archbald, and the commander the last 9 years. He was involved with the American Legion as a District 11 commander and vice chairman for the Central Section of the American Legion. Member of the Sons of the Legion, the Ambrose Rebels American Legion Post 328. He was big with the vets. Survived by his wife, Terry, a daughter, 3 sons, 8 grandchildren. Tragically preceded in death by his grandson, Andrew Hyde. Jerry Hyde. Bernie Baffiel. He was from Bloomsburg. He was 84. He passed away August 23rd. Born in Berwick, attended Berwick High School, then joined the U.S. Army, serving from 60 to 62. Married his loving wife, the former Linda Ann Parker of Bloomsburg, in 1969. For more than 34 years, he was employed by Conneer, doing various jobs until he retired in 2014. He loved spending his time at home. It's where he always wanted to be. Survivors include his loving wife of more than 56 years, Linda Ann of Bloomsburg, his daughter, son, 3 grandsons, and many other family members. Bernie Baffiel. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality, including the great Atera 519 and Sergei's, the nightclub, both of which will be in the middle of everything this Festa Italiana weekend. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly to mostly sunny. Milder. Chance of evening showers, 75 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 48. Friday, partly cloudy, breezy, and cool, 70 degrees. Saturday, sunny, 72. Sunday, sunny and milder, 78. Monday, Labor Day, sunny and mild, 78. One of the best weather reports I've seen. Let us pray that it's true. For Festa Italiana. You know you could go there. It won't be too hot as you do the Italian 500 around the square. I love that. I love that. And I've got to get porchetta from Unico. I've got to eat at Villa Maria. I've got to go to Sabatel's. Our own Sue Henry will be working there for at least part of the time. And then Carmela's. They're going to have at least one pastry store. Those are my must stops. I can't wait to do that. And, of course, to watch Chris DiMatteo Sunday night outside. Good stuff. Whole weekend. I got to visit. And by the way, I found out my son Peter is throwing out the first ball, the first pitch at, I still call it the Red Barons. I should call it the Yankees. But at the Rail Riders game Sunday, 1 o'clock, 1:30. So I've got what a full weekend. Oh, I got Johnny, my man Johnny Fontaine. He's got his polenta party this weekend. So lots to do. I'm ecstatic, and I'm happy the weather's going to cooperate. Let's go to Wayne from Einan. He's calling about the flag. How are you, Wayne?
Robert, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Better since I'm talking to you.
How much weight do you plan to gain over the weekend at the Italian festival?
There is no plan. But the entire weekend, because I've got this polenta party on Saturday up at my buddy's house in Peckville. And so it's gonna be disgraceful. Let me say that.
Okay.
And that doesn't count. By the way, that doesn't count the drinking either.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll have a couple of cold ones too this week. Oh God! Yeah, if you're coming up Gino Morelli Drive and you hit 109, just beep the horn and wave.
You and I are gonna have that beer together.
That's why I live in Ireland. Yes.
This fall we're gonna have that. We're gonna have that beer together, Wayne. I promise.
I would love to do that. Okay. Here's my comment about the flag, Bobby. Yeah. I would love to see them try to do this. Okay, stomp on a flag or burn a flag in front of a vet. That would not be a good situation. You know, a veteran, that's like you spitting in the face of a veteran.
Yep.
To just put his life on the line for this country. You know, that's my comment.
Now, I said this yesterday, Wayne. Just want to get your reaction to it. I'm not for. I played Hillary Clinton talking about banning flag burning, Joe Biden talking about flag burning, and yet the Democrats are criticizing Trump for his executive order. I'm not for this, by the way. And we played. You might have heard we played Johnny Cash. We'll have to pull that up. Bulldog. Maybe we'll play the Johnny Cash again. But Johnny Cash talking about it too, and. I'm not for any law. I want society to be civil on its own. And by the way, if the person who burns the flag gets a beating, so be it.
So be it. So be it, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, I'd rather society take care of that, honestly, than have a law and they got to get I don't know.
Bobby, when we came back from Vietnam, okay, there was 4 of us that came by, okay. One of them was a Marine, and one guy was starting to burn the flag. Okay, I don't need to tell you what that Marine did. It wasn't pretty, let me tell you.
And I think that's how it should be dealt with. I guess you'd get in trouble today.
No, today you would definitely get in trouble.
Yeah.
If they have you arrested, that's for sure.
And it's a disgrace. I would do what I could to prevent it, and I might be. Participate in giving the beating, but I don't know that we should have a law. I don't think it's like outlawing idiots.
Yeah, right. I agree with you about no law.
Yeah.
Okay. Respect should be automatic in this country. The reason this country is the way it is because you're veterans.
Yeah.
That's the way you look at it.
Yep.
That's the only way it would be the way it is. Okay.
Amen.
And the people still in the military. Other than that, we'd be doing something else, probably speaking German. You know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's my comment on it.
God knows what language.
And
Wayne,
I can't wait to listen to that guy on what's it, Tuesday?
Tuesday,
About
Chet
football?
Parlavecchio. He's going to be fun.
Yeah.
He's going to be
being
fun.
an old Tech Raider, Red Raider.
You're an old lineman, right, Wayne?
Yes, I am. I'm an old lineman, those offensive and defensive tackles.
The great,
All scholastic, I must say.
nice.
Could have went to many colleges. Didn't want to go to college, so that's why I wound up
You went to Vietnam instead.
Yeah, I went to yeah.
Well, believe me, that was more of an education you could get at any college.
And that was right.
Yeah.
That was right. See, my dad was a plumber growing up, okay? When I was growing up. So from 5 years old, I was out there helping him on jobs. So I knew exactly what I wanted to be. So I took electrical classes at Tech. So I knew both trades.
Yeah.
So I didn't look at going to college as anything to benefit me, you know?
Well, you knew how to do something. You go to college when you don't know how to do anything.
Oh, lovely talking to you, Bob. You have a great weekend.
Always a pleasure, Wayne. Have a great Labor Day.
Take care,
man,
buddy.
if I don't
Take
talk
care,
to you.
buddy.
We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, the eponymous program. It rolls on after this. Five-man electrical band, Murph says. They moved up to number 3 with their hit Signs this date, 1971. And can you believe it's 20 years already? New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin ordered everyone to evacuate as Hurricane Katrina grew to a monster storm. And if you remember, they described the geography of New Orleans as, with the lake behind it, the river in front of it, and a bowl. And we found out then, everybody in New Orleans thought it was cute. We're going to keep electing Democrats, blah, blah, blah. And when incompetents like Ray Nagin are in charge, bad things happen when disaster strikes. And unfortunately, New Orleans, maybe they learned their lesson, maybe they didn't, but disaster. I just remember all of that so well. I was Lackawanna County Commissioner at the time, and I realized that we were going to build a huge, grandiose additions to the courthouse. And it was going to be beautiful, but it was going to eat up most of the green space, which we're going to be able to use this Labor Day weekend for Festa Italiana. But that was the game plan. And after that, I realized, our people, we've got a lot of people working class, struggling, poor here in Lackawanna County. We can't justify spending this much money and dramatically scale back the plans. Because I watched them suffering. I said, we've got the same people, the same type of economy in a lot of ways, suffering. People that just struggling. Yeah, what an event. Hey, we're going to finish today with John Denver. And Bulldog will start when he has to. It moved up to number 2 with his hit Take Me Home Country Road. This date, 1971. By the way, I love this Babylon Bee. And I save them, and sometimes they just don't get to them. But they had a new one come out. It says, Taylor Swift engagement overturned as referee determines Travis Kelce's knee didn't touch the ground. And then the next one, it says, genius Trump enacts plan to dumb down Chinese population by inviting them to attend American universities. Oh, Lord. Another, Trump unveils giant cannon for faster, more entertaining deportations. And then another one. Trump vows to nationalize as many private companies as it takes to defeat socialism. And then regarding our friend Garcia, who's going to, Uganda? Human trafficker says it's inhumane to be trafficked to another country. And then back to the Travis Kelce thing. He says, Travis Kelce says he'll write his own wedding vows to Taylor Swift as soon as he learns how to spell psyched. Always entertaining. You just have to subscribe to it on email. Somebody texted in, this is smart. Bob, burning the flag is a freedom of expression. Freedom of patriotism is the person who introduces himself to the flag burner. Yes. Another, a two-way lineman from Scranton Tech. They don't get any tougher than that. That's our guy, Wayne. Somebody said, and this is true, I hadn't thought of this as I was discussing it. Because, remember, it's a crime to burn a BLM or an LGBTQ flag. It's racist or a crime. Then burning a U.S. flag should be dealt with as an insurrection using that same logic. Hard to argue with. Hard to argue with. Well, guys, you know it's great to be with you. I enjoyed it. Frank from Wilkes-Barre's on hold. We don't have time to get to him, but he was patient, but we just can't get there. I need to mention our veterans. Because as I look at my Picardo Jeweler watch, it's telling me it's 11:59 and change, which means I'm out of here. Sue Henry show next. Rob O'Donnell show after that. Our veterans today brought to you by our man John Basiliga. These guys we lost, but we'll remember. Jerry Hyde, Peckville. John Cunningham, born Scranton but from Newfoundland. Joseph Box Horvath, Hazleton. Bob Kislin, Freeland. James Sudsy Fiume, Pittston. And Bernie Bafil, Bloomsburg. God bless them all. Guys, have a great afternoon. For now, we got to go. God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow at 9. But until then, we gavel to a close this meeting of Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon.